Oh, it's cold outside and it's eggnog season. So let's go ahead on and whip up this New Orleans eggnog. First thing you got to do is you got to separate your egg whites and the egg yolks. Now look, they got a few ways you can do this. The first one I'm gonna show you is the way I learned. You just use the shell and you rock that egg white to sleep. All right, you rock it back and forth until you make sure that all of the egg whites has been released from the egg yolk. Okay, that is the best way that I learned. All right, well, I ain't gonna say the best way. That's the first way I learned, right? But it's a little tricky because you can end up puncturing the egg yolk with your shell, and you don't want any egg yolk in your egg whites because then your egg whites won't whip. All right, and then while you're doing this, they got that little white thing, you know, that other funny little white thing we all don't know what to call it, that start dangling. Then the other way is you just want to go ahead on and crack the egg and pour it right into your hand, and then let gravity do all of the work, and then the egg white will just begin to fall away from the egg yolk. Okay, eventually it'll fall. See, there you go. And then the third way is you can crack the eggs in there and then scoop out the egg yolks with your fingers, but you don't want nobody in your house judging you for playing with your food too much, okay? So after you get the egg whites separated, we're gonna go ahead on and whip them up, all right? So we're gonna whip them up for about 2 minutes until we get some beautiful stiff peaks, all right? So you just go ahead on, whip, 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 whip. And once you see the ripples in it, you know you gotta go. And see, that's a stiff peak right there, okay? Now, once you get your stiff peak, then you're gonna go ahead on and put some sugar into the stiff peaks, all right? Because we're gonna make like a meringue to go on top of our eggnog, okay? This is what makes this a New Orleans eggnog. We put the egg whites on the top. We don't fold them in after it's cold. We put it on the top and create this beautiful foam. After you put your sugar, whip it up for another 2 minutes. You still should have some beautiful stiff peaks. And then go ahead on and clean off your beaters. And then let's beat those egg yolks, all right? So we're gonna whip up these egg yolks for about 1 minute, just until they're nice and fluffy. And then we're gonna go ahead on and beat in the remaining sugar, salt, and about a teaspoon of nutmeg, all right? And then we're just gonna go ahead on and mix that until it's well incorporated, until the sugar's nice and blended and it all looks good, okay? That's about good, right? Should be kind of smooth. You know, your sugar shouldn't be sticking up rock hard. Now, let's go ahead on and create our base. So we're gonna take some half and half and some heavy cream, okay? And then we're gonna bring this up to a slight warmth, all right? So we want that to be warm for about 3 minutes. Put your little bit of nutmeg in there, and once you can touch it, you know, all the mamas out there, you know, all the fathers out there, you know, once you can touch the milk and it's warm enough to touch, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take about a quarter cup of that out, or half a cup, and we're gonna put that into our egg yolk and sugar mixture, okay? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna temper our eggs. And all tempering means is we're gonna bring up the temperature of the egg yolk, so once we add it into the warm liquid, we don't end up with scrambled eggs. This is an eggnog recipe, not a scrambled egg recipe, okay? Then you wanna go ahead on and just whip that back into it, pull your tempered eggs back into it. Now we got this nice, rich custard, okay? But also, make sure your friend who gets all of that stuff out of the bowl. Don't leave that in there. Get all of that in there, because all of that equals flavor. And then we're just gonna let this heat up for about 3 minutes. That's 160 degrees for everybody with an instant read thermometer. But if you don't have a fancy tool like this, all you need to do is once you notice that the egg mixture or eggnog base coats the back of a spoon and you can drag your fingers through the line like that, it's ready. This eggnog is done, okay? So from here, all we're gonna do is put a little bit of vanilla in there. Maybe a little bit more, bro. Put a little bit more in there. There you go, a little bit more vanilla. And then we're gonna put the remaining nutmeg in here, okay? Nutmeg for days, all right? That's what we want in this eggnog, all right? We want this to taste very rich and very delicious. And then we're gonna top it off with our egg whites, okay? Now look, the first time I made this, my wife called me crazy, but after she had that foam in her mouth, she enjoyed it, okay? Because it added a nice, creamy layer flavor to it and just added to the eggnog, and it actually absorbs some good flavor, okay? So after you put your eggnog on the top, your egg whites, you're gonna take it off for 5 minutes and let it cool, because if you let it sit on that high burner, it's gonna create scrambled eggs. Now, I already put my shot of rum in here, you know, drink responsibly. And then now from here, all you're gonna do is just fill it up with a cup of love. Make it for somebody who you love. Even make it for somebody who you don't like. Because after you make this New Orleans eggnog farm, they ain't gonna have no choice but to just say, how you doing? Because you made them such a delicious, warm, festive drink. But that's how easy it is to make this New Orleans Creole eggnog. Garnish it up with a little bit of nutmeg on the top. You can find a recipe link down below. Hit the subscribe button, like button, do all that fun stuff you're supposed to do to make sure you're notified when more delicious recipes are made. I hope y'all enjoyed.